भारत के रक्षा सामर्थ्य को कैसे बढ़ाया जा सकता है, इसके बारे में हम चर्चा करेंगे। चेयरपर्सन है मेजर जनरल जौहर, VSM, एडिशनल DG, आर्मी डिज़ाइन ब्यूरो। मॉडरेटर हैं श्री रंजन लूथरा, हेड स्पेशल प्रोजेक्ट्स, रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज़ लिमिटेड। और हमारे एमिनेंट पैनलिस्ट्स हैं श्री क्रिस्टी जैकब, SCF जॉइंट प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर, आर्चर, ADE, बेंगलुरु। Shri Sameer Joshi, CEO and Director, New Space Research and Technologies. Dr. Vikas Mishra, Founder and Chairman, RAFE Amphibir. Shri Ashok Vadhavan, Senior Vice President, Adani Defence and Aerospace. Shri Tanuj Mittal, Customer Process Experience Director, Dassault Systems. और इन सभी से मेरा निवेदन है कि कृपया मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। हम पैनल डिस्कशन को आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। बहुत बहुत स्वागत है मंच पर हमारे सभी मेहमानों का। और इस बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर हम चर्चा को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। तो मैं इस स्टेज को, इस मंच को चेयर के सुपुर्द कर रही हूँ। मुझे अनुमति दीजिए।
So once again, a very good afternoon to all of you, and Jai Hind. A slight amendment. She said I'm the ADG Army Design Bureau. Well, today is my last day in that appointment. I move on from here, so I think I'll make it my swan song. Okay. So frankly, I'm really privileged again because this is a very esteemed panel, and most of them are very dear friends too. So I'm quite sure that whatever I speak, and if I speak something wrong, they're going to call me out very soon. Right. So I've already put the perspective as far as the Indian Army is concerned in, right up front in my keynote address. The fact is that there needs to be a volume which needs to be generated. There needs to be a user visibility of what capabilities do they desire, and that needs to be generated for the industry to start investing and getting their supply chains ongoing. We understand that. And in defense, it's something that was lacking earlier, and now we see, as we heard all the three services, it's something that we are upfront coming forward to be able to integrate this technology into the defense domain. And the topic is enhancing defense, India's defense capability with drones. And that is exactly what I will just put forth in the next 1 or 2 minutes. So when we look at the kind of use cases that we have, we have use cases starting from the nano and the micro category for room interventions, counter-terrorist operations, and now as we see how operations are rolling out in the Ukraine conflict, we need it for built-up areas too. And this is one category which will find favor for these kind of operations. The second is the small and the medium-sized drones. And we have exponents of that, both Vikas is here, Sameer is here. They're the ones who are delving into this field. This is there for surveillance at the tactical level, combat teams, combat groups, cordon, battle groups, whatever you may call them. They can do reconnaissance, they can do mapping, they can do mine recognition, mine detection, engineer reconnaissance. They can do electronic warfare. They can do communications. Plethora and multiple use cases you have in this particular set of domain. They can even direct your artillery fire or precision fire. Then comes the little larger category, the hail and the mail class, which technically we were, a little handicap of that capability, and we have Ashok here from Adani, who has brought that capability to this country today. And of course, then we go a little higher to the near space, where I think Sameer is already undertaking a project with this with the Air Force to be able to achieve that capability. And of course, then our favorite, the last mile logistics for the soldier sitting at that 5,000, 6,000 meter post, when he needs that fuel and he needs that food and he needs that ammunition to be delivered to him. Currently, we do it with porters, ponies. And now we are looking at the last mile logistics. So when that's something that's going to unravel itself very soon. But apart from all these requirements, when you put a bunch of them together, you have again a capability that develops for you like swarming. like manned-unmanned teaming, like integrated surveillance detection and targeting systems. So it changes the ball game, and again you have another use case developing in that particular domain. Well, incidentally, that Meher Baba competition, wonderful initiative, and thanks to that, we were able to pick up the finalists for them, take them through the paces, and we then went ahead and placed orders for the first set of swarm drones within this country. So the Indian Army is going to be the first holders very soon of this technology also. And of course, greater other technologies which are going to be built in, from navigation technology, GPS denied technology, identification friend of foe technologies, UATMs, and you name it, what you have. So there is a market which is available in the defense for the drone industry to be able to work and deliver to the needs of it. And economies of scale are going to build up slowly and slowly, as we would have seen with our recent procurements. The fact is that it takes a little bit of patience to work with us, and patience and, of course, more patience. And now all these transforming capabilities that are being brought to the table, right? So we got great policies, sound planning processes, we revised the acquisition process, we're doing all that. The sum of it all is that you need credible technology and a manufacturing base. And that is something that we need to focus on as we go ahead with this. And there's a whole bunch of technologies which are emerging today, as far as defense is concerned. As I said, manned-unmanned teaming, swarming, autonomous swarming. You have now perch charging to be able to enhance the endurance. You have hydrogen fuel cells, you have solid fuel cells. They're going to enhance the capabilities of that drone that we utilize. But at the end of it, the requirement is of that soldier in field in the area that he's deployed. So in the last, what I'm going to bring out here is that it can't be done in isolation. We've got to work together to do it. And of course, when we work together, there are a lot of expectations from each other. So I think if I can take 30 seconds more to bring out what are these expectations so that we can set the context of this discussion today. So the industry expects us, that is the user, to provide the visibility of your requirement, tangible user inputs, facilitate the design and development, work with them, keep the initial requirements a little broad-based, look at spiral development, initiate timely use cases, streamline your processes, and finally, of course, place orders. Right? That's the bottom line of it, place orders. We are trying to do that. I can say for the Indian Army, the Army Design Bureau has actually been trying to do all these things, so I'm not going to sing more pans to what we are doing. But the fact is, this is the requirement. It must be delivered to the industry. But then what do we expect from the industry? We expect from the industry to give us a prioritization on their R&D. From integrators, we need to become system designers. It's very important. Today, we know we are sourcing so many components from outside. We need you to start localizing them ASAP. The global supply chains are very tenuous. We all have seen it in the past conflict. We need you to tell us and be transparent about your supply chains right up front. Not later subsequently when deliveries are delayed because there is a glut, not able to get it. It's booked out till 2026, it's not feasible. That is the problem. We understand that. And of course, invest in greater higher technology platforms, HAIL, Mail Class and others, and deliver those in time to us. So I think this sums up the expectations of us for the industry and the industry expectations to us. And I'm quite sure this is the discussion that I keep having with Samir, Vikas, Ashok, and all others that we work with. And I think that with that, I will end here and allow the others to now pick holes in whatever I have said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, General Jauhar. So I think we have a very short time, and I would request all my panel members to be brief in their response. We have broadly 4 questions that we would like to take up in response to what expectations were laid out by General Jauhar. Number 1, I would request maybe starting with my right, Christy, with you, and then we can go one by one. If you could give a brief introduction to your organization and specifically highlighting 1 or 2 key points, what differentiates your organization with the defense capabilities and the expectations that were just laid out by General Jauhar. If you could maybe be brief about that, and then we'll go through the rest of the panel.
I represent an organization called Aeronautical Development Establishment. We spearhead UAV development in India, set up in the year 1959. We started off as a quality assurance department for Air Force stores. We moved on to the development of targets for missile targets for aircrafts. For the Indian Air Force was our primary organization. And we started off with the project Ulka, went on to the Lakshya, which is a piloted target aircraft. We moved on to remotely piloted vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles in the form of Nishant. And we moved on to the simulator programs when the LCA came in, when the Ajit Kiran programs came in. Presently, we are working in the field of unmanned combat aircrafts, and we are entered into the domain of having a platform which doesn't just do reconnaissance work, but it also becomes a platform from where weapons and stores can be deployed. Coming on to the area regarding the niche areas in which we work in, due to our involvement with unmanned programs, we became the house to which the flight control system for the manned aircrafts and the unmanned aircrafts came to AD because we had developed that expertise. We also grew along that line when we went into the simulator programs. What we look at in future is it's no longer going to be a sky which will be reserved only for the defense or only for the civilian sector. Tomorrow we are going to see a sky which will be a mixed environment, which will be so you will need to have a system in which you start operating in a mixed environment in which both have to cooperate together and fly. Swarm is going to be the future. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are going to be the systems, the way forward. And AD has been working on this in these fields in order to meet these requirements.
Thank you. Samir?
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Samir Joshi. I am the CEO at New Space Research and Technologies Private Limited. New Space is a Bangalore-based startup company, started operations back in 2018. We are working on next generation missions and technologies, as we say, NGM&T, with a focus on aerospace and defense for dual-use technologies. The clear-cut verticals defined under our vision are for persistent UAVs and cooperative swarm robotics, with a major thrust in survival in the tactical battlefield area. Now, this survival can be in many ways, and we are very much focusing on delivering these to the end users. A great focus is on the R&D. Presently, 3 major product development initiatives. We have a UAV, which we are planning to be in a very persistent form, which can fly for months altogether with solar power. The idea is to fly it at the edge where the space actually starts. We call it a near space UAV program, flying at 20 kilometers plus. And this vehicle falls in the category of high altitude pseudo satellites, the HAPS variety of vehicles, for persistent ISR. Now, this vehicle we are collaborating with Hindustan Aeronautics and will be taking forward this initiative. The second initiative we have is an air launch swarm drone system. Very, very creative concept of operations, ideally for counter operations, counter offensive across a large layered air defense penetration focus with majorly, in fact, all our products are focused towards operations in contested airspace. And we also have a ground-based version for the same, which we would be offering to the integrated battle group usage as well as mechanized forces and all domains. The third product, of course, which we are right now in the supply stage to the Indian Army is the multi-rotor-based swarm drone system. We are at a very advanced stage of a large number of these platforms flying together. We demonstrated this capability last year during Army Day of up till 75 drones flying together, controlled by a single operator. and using autonomy and artificial intelligence, automatic target recognition techniques. And we are just going to carry this manifestation forward towards now product evolution and deployment. We have also declared the winner of the swarm drone architecture in the Indian Air Force's Meher Baba's Prize, something which you might have missed today. But thanks to a lot of initiative and the government push, which came our way, I think we are well on our way to support a large degree of mission needs and formats which the armed forces have in the near future. And just to conclude, we have just started our maiden logistics drone carrier program for a 150 kg payload class for middle mile delivery. This is something which has just been initiated by us, and this we want to factor it purely towards the civilian usage in concurrence with the opening up of, very positively opening up the civilian drone sector in India. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashok, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ashok Wadhavan from Adani Defense and Aerospace Business. When we started our journey on UAVs or drones, we started discussing with all our users, be it the three armed forces, paramilitary forces, and we realized a group like us would get into drones which would make a difference, which the capability did not exist in the country, or something which our users really wanted to. So we started with the MALE category of UAVs. MALE is medium altitude, long endurance drones. It's like an aircraft which goes up to 30,000 feet, carrying 350 kgs of payload. And can be in the air for 36 hours. So we set up a manufacturing facility in Hyderabad and bought that capability in the country a couple of years back. Today we export the product back to Israel as well as Philippines and a lot of other countries. So that capability exists, which is what General Jauhar spoke about, that going up to the large capability which should be required in the country. And we are happy to state that, it's the best in class in its range. We started with that, and then we have been growing the capability like I said, in areas where you won't find existing in the country, and our users actually do require it, like loitering ammunition. We have that capability which we are supplying to Army right now, a large chunk of it, and we export it also. So those are our MALE and loitering ammunition, but then we have also expanded it to surveillance, which starts from a small drone, which can go up to 10,000 feet, and it can be there in the air. It's a small drone, and from that to swarm, we also support it. So what we have also been doing is, one, bring the capability in-house, build it here with growing MSMEs and SMEs, but also support startups. So in Meher Baba, Delhi Technology, one of the winners of the swarm, like our friend here in Samir, we also won that, and we demonstrated that, and we are supporting that team to even grow that capability for 200 swarm drones doing and coming back. That's the group. And what we are also building capability is in farming drones, which you should see coming through in the next couple of months, which will be growing, and which will bring in the commercial drone capability along with the defense drone. One of the rare things which Samir also mentioned, we are looking at, and we are bringing that capability next week, which we have developed, is logistic drone taking 120 kgs of payload in high altitude. So once that is there, that should take into account the small for farming as well as large MALE category for the defense forces. Our main objective is to bring in those used cases and capability which our user want. And what we did, something unique to showcase that, was we put in the drone was flying in Israel and was controlled out of India Habitat Center, 3,500 kilometers in a distance, and we did 3 missions controlling from here. So all our 3 users, which is Army, Navy, Air Force, as well as paramilitary forces, BSF, were here doing and controlling and seeing how the drone performs. So objective is to talk to the user, understand what the use cases is, either build the capability, if we can acquire technology from outside, help startups to grow it, or do R&D and build the capability in the country which can cater to all of them. And along with that, bring in the service so that it's not just the product which you supply, but make sure that the service is to the last mile to the user in his facility. So open to more suggestions from the users and see how we can, bring in either kamikaze zones, which are much more than what we have right now, or any other drones which are required, and build it in India. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanuj, over to you.
Thanks, Rajan. Good afternoon, dear audience and fellow panelists here on the table. My name is Tanuj Mittal. I represent Dassault System today. At Dassault System, our mission is to provide a virtual universe for individuals as well as companies, wherein they can give shape to the ideas they have, more specific to drones, where they can design, develop, test and manufacture drones. We are innovation partner for most of the drone manufacturers here in India as well as globally. And our single most agenda is to see that how IP is developing locally here in India so that the overall growth of the sector happens as per the guidelines of Government of India. I look forward to the discussions today.
Thank you. Vikash.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vikash Mishra. I'm the chairman of Refi M Fiber. We are a drone manufacturing company, and we manufacture almost every part of the drone. So we started in 2017, and we actually worked with our forces in different parts of the country, Siachen glaciers, northeast, and the coastal areas, lived with them and understood their requirement, developed the science. That's the most important thing, develop the science and physics, that how the system will perform at high altitude, low temperature, low pressure areas, because that's very important. And in a country like ours, we need to focus on the manufacturing and developing the science. So we did that for first 3 years. We came up with the products. Right now, 9 different products are already inducted in different forces, paramilitary and intelligence forces of the country. We are about to deliver to Army, Air Force, and Navy, and other paramilitary forces. We have already developed drones which are lifting about 150 kilograms in low altitude areas, and we are about to do trials in high altitude areas. And all of these we have been working with DRDO, because we took advantage of the last huge amount of scientific resources available in the country with the DRDO. And so we had a good catching up of the science, that how the electronic functions, how the motor functions, how propeller functions, and all these things. So after this, we have achieved these systems which are reliably flying, and we look forward that this year we are coming up with another kind of drone which is well suited for Indian defense and subcontinent, because we just need to fly for 10-15 hours in terms of coastal areas. We need to just go 500 kilometers. So we basically focus on combat systems. So we develop systems along with DRDO, and they handhold us in weapon delivery systems. And so this year, by then, we are going to have a drone which is flies for 500 kilometers, comes back 500 kilometers, and takes about 150 kg payload. And it is runway independent. It can be launched from no runway is required. So those are the things which we have been able to achieve, and we have amazing 200 people, different scientists and engineers all across the world working with us. Yeah.
Thank you. I think given the size of the panel and I think the introduction times, we only have possibly time for maybe one question or two questions quickly. If I can request, Christy, for you to maybe take this up first. We all are talking about making India the drone hub of the world by 2030. And obviously, there is a lot to be done to be able to make that happen genuinely, especially in the defense sector. So can you please highlight one specific action that needs to be taken either by the government or the industry or by, let's say, the academia, of what will it take to make India the drone hub of the world in the defense sector, and how will we catch up to the global leaders or be at par with them? So if you can maybe make one suggestion each, I would request each one of you to be brief about that.
Yeah. I think the question is really interesting, especially in today's perspective, in which India as a manufacturing hub has come out really well in the automobile and the manufacturing sectors. There's enormous skill set and enormous manufacturing base which is there in the country. If you start looking at systems in their silos, it will be difficult, but if you start leveraging capabilities which are there across industries and then give a coherent solution, I think India, there's nothing which will be stopping us from leveraging those and using it across industries so that the capability which the nation has as a whole can be used in the making India perspective also.
Great
that
point.
would be my limited
Thanks.
point.
Samir?
Sir, I think manufacturing is a very important point, as he said, but largely we have to look inside for captive research and development. Are we here with this capability to design aircraft, design full-fledged aircraft, full-fledged UAVs, design all subsystem level transformations which are required to have a vehicle which suits the requirements for our domestic consumption, which is our forces. And mind you, they have some very unique requirements. I think all scenarios, all environmental conditions that you see across the world are there in our little, manifold, right from the northern sector going down to the seas. So if we have that inherent captive research and technology depth, only then you will have solutions which will 100% be able to match up to the user aspirations. This is something which we have to break through, and for this, it is not only research and development at the level of the companies, academia, organizations, PSUs, etc., but also the patience by the end users, by the government, to give that time for the R&D to convert into something tangible. And this will determine how successful we are towards becoming a drone power in the world by 2030.
Thank you. Ashok?
Yeah, I think giving a platform like this by the Government of India just starts the ball rolling. I think they've done their piece of it. The user coming here, spending time with us, starting from the Prime Minister to the Chief of CRPF or Chief of Army, Chief of Navy, I think they've done their job. It's left to us as industry to take it forward from here. I think the most important piece which we should do is look at propulsion systems and the engines piece of the drones. So there are two hearts of drones. One is the body, which obviously we do. The engine is the heart, which I think requires, starting from small drones to large drones, we need to do it. And then is the artificial intelligence and the software piece of it, which I think will come as the user gets more used to it and demands more. I'm sure we'll be able to build it, and I think in India we're quite good at that. But the propulsion system and the engines, I think we need to do that. And I think in a matter of couple of years, quite a few of us will be getting into those. And once that is done, yeah, wing to wing, there's no issues. We should be able to reach where our dreams are.
Tanuj, any suggestion?
Yeah, so I agree with what others have just said. We have come a long way when it comes to manufacturing drones in India. Started with importing fully built up units of drone, and then
you could just be brief, Tanuj, about a specific point.
Then coming on to assembling. But I think important is that we invest more and more in indigenous research and development, not only just as a full unit, but going to subunits and components as well. So that is the focus area I would recommend.
Vikash?
Yes, sir. So we are really far from becoming a drone manufacturing hub as India because, fibers 100% imported, magnets 100% imported, electronics 100% imported. So we can say that we assemble and all these things, but we need to invest really hard in trying to understand what is element and what is the research behind making neodymium magnets. We need to, like big industries, need to actually fabricate fibers. We can't put 800 crore facility to fabricate carbon fiber. Even if we fabricate, it's not aerospace grade. So there are a lot of challenges, and government is pushing as much they can, and industries should also push big industries so that we can have these systems produced in India. Otherwise, we can't say we are being manufacturing hub.
Yeah, so as a summary, I think the indigenous R&D, which can lead to generating in-house components at all levels, be it engines, be it payloads, be it all the say, range of components. And I think it all starts with developing the skill set, Samir, as you mentioned, around the R&D that needs to be done. It's not just at college levels, but maybe even at school levels. There are some initiatives happening by METI and others, which I think we will talk about maybe offline. Let me maybe last 2 minutes try and wrap up with one topic, Ashok, that you mentioned. It ultimately, while we talk about manufacturing and R&D, but at the end of it, once the aircraft is in the air and all the imagery is being captured, it will really depend on the real advanced artificial intelligence that will derive value from that. Right, and let the drone operate in GPS-denied environments, in a swarm formation. A lot of stuff has already happened, and you guys have covered it in your initial remarks. But I want to ask very specifically, for us to become the leaders in the soft side or the data analytics or the artificial intelligence, what is the specific thing that we need to do to be leaders in that domain? If we can start, Ashok, with you, and then we will move.
So I'll say, starting from like what we have in our roads right now, management of the cars, which is going everywhere. We have opened up an industry which is going to be in the air. We don't want the same thing to happen in the air. So first is, how do we monitor the aircrafts or the drones, and how do we manage the whole thing? That will also require a lot of artificial intelligence than people sitting and doing it. So I think it starts from there, and that will require a lot of investment, both from the private sector and from the government to come in. Then secondly is all the drones which are there in the air, the data coming in. Data analytics will be the most important piece of it. Leaving out the armed forces defense drones where you will have kamikaze, which are different, but the data which is coming in, if we can just harness that information and not just have people sitting, but do the artificial intelligence to see and monitor each and every aspect of it, that will only come in because our terrains are different. We have seas in one side and we have air on the other side and we have mountains. We will require a lot of R&D to go into from our side. What we actually require sitting with the user and doing, like I said, right now is just introduction. User is also using it. We will have to have a back-end software team which is actually working on it, and that's what our next step is, to bring that together to start from monitoring of the drones to actually monitoring of the data coming in. I think then is where we'll actually harness the strength of drones.
Thank you. Samir, slightly different question to you. You already are into artificial intelligence in many of your products and solutions. Where do you think are we compared to some of the world leaders on a genuine basis on the AI side?
So I think on this aspect, we are not very far from this pack, which is using autonomy and AI as a tool to kind of close the kill chain. And kill chain is the essence of any product development initiative in aerospace and defense. The end user is not bothered what product you are making. The end user is bothered what data he gets, and that data helps him close the kill chain. And this should be the focus for all autonomous-driven R&D as well as the artificial intelligence. And for this to work, you require product developments, you require products which survive in the tactical battlefield area. And there, for utilizing and reducing the scale chain further, closing the famous OODA loop, you require processing on the edge, on the vehicle itself. Now, this is where things get complicated. The end user wants more and more data. But do you have the ability to generate that data on the vehicle? Edge computing has limitations as of now. This is one sector which is going to scale up rapidly going further. But to get that right data to train your AI and get the right algorithms running to support your missions, one more thing is required, which everybody in this field must take cognizance of. Understanding the concept of operations, how things are used. And the worst thing which we as designers face in the field is, how do you make a product which is supposed to work 5 years down the line? Even the end user does not have visibility how a product is going to come up and shape up. So ladies and gentlemen, if you are designing products for today, I'm not sure if they'll actually convert into sales. And this is something which AI is definitely going to accelerate and help us all with, but there are limitations to it which we need to keep in mind.
Thank you. I'll take that now, Tanuj, to you. From product development, can you please mention specifically how is your solution helping in the digital twin or the virtual twin? And how does that help in fast-tracking the product development? Very briefly, please.
Right. So, drones being a relatively...
So, especially for startups, how can they leverage some of your capabilities?
Drones being a new phenomena, I would say, for India. There is a lot of experimentation which will go, especially by startups, before they come up with the right design and solution. Now, these experimentation, if you start doing this physically, will be very time-consuming, resource-crunching applications. That is where the value of a digital twin, when I say digital twin, it is as near to a physical product. The value comes in handy, where all the startups and other manufacturing organizations can experiment with different permutations and combination, give shape to their ideas, convince themselves that till the time the design is right, the manufacturing process is proven, the product is not released to the market. So this shorten the go-to-market, it shorten the cost aspect of designing and manufacturing drones. Rajan.
Thanks. I think if we can continue, Vikash, on that. So are you leveraging such tools, and especially given what Samir just mentioned, right? How are you really deriving value at the AI level or the data analytics level, if you can again be brief?
So to be honest, we are not that much used into AI and data analytics because we focus mainly on manufacturing. However, AI is being utilized in our manufacturing processes because we are manufacturing a good amount of drones. There are a lot of sub-components which goes into this thing. So quality check of the raw materials and pre-raw materials are using AI there, but not at the user level.
Anything you would like to add, Christy? Last point on this?
No, I think more or less the points have been covered by most of the panelists. So.
Great. Would you like to summarize?
All right. The first point that you raised was AI. Of course, there's no doubt about that. As we look into the future, that is what is going to define every drone development which takes place. We were from man in the loop to man on the loop, and we are looking at autonomous. Question is, the policy has to decide what exactly do we want to look at. Right? So the critical defining technology which needs to be integrated, and I've seen the way Samir and all have been working on this, is to get that AI on the edge. He's absolutely right. The data is going to flow, and it's going to be in so much that it's going to be very difficult for a human being or normal machine to even process it. That computing power to be able to process it and to be able to guide the decision making of the user is something that needs to be worked upon. So there's no denying the fact that that's the future when we look at it as far as AI is concerned.
Great. With that, I think we are run out of time. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. Please.
So I have just, in the end, before Rajan pulls me out of the chair. So I've met a lot of startups here yesterday. Some of them already established, some of them big companies, startups, they're all there, and some ones who were just getting into drone developing, and all of them wanted to deal with defense, right? So I have one or two pieces of simple advice for you. Other than that, be patient with us. The fact is, before you start, understand the user requirement. That's the most important thing. If you don't understand the user requirement, you will develop a drone which I will then, once you have developed it, I will tell you, I'm sorry, I can't use this. And what do I want? What is the user requirement? You need to know where I'm going to use that drone. If I'm going to fly that drone at 4,500 meters to be able to fight the enemy, I need a drone which can give me that capability, right? What exactly am I looking for? So please reach out to us. We are always available. Reach out to the Army Design Bureau. They will give you all the requirements that you want. The second thing that I think, please do invest in R&D, as I said. Break up that drone into 4 or 5 subsystems which it has, from batteries to propellers to motors to flight controllers to common modules to navigation modules. You break them up all and see how much of it can be localized. Where does the R&D need to go? I know somebody was working, been able to create a flight controller indigenous. Yes, damn good. That's the way you need to look at. And third and last but not the least is, you need to look at how to evaluate these systems. Come to us again. We'll take you up there. Rather, in fact, coming end June, high altitude, anybody who wants to try his drones, reach out to us. We'll take you there. We'll give you the facility to evaluate your drones there. And that's how we will work together to make you innovate. You know, to discover new oceans, you need to lose the sight of the shore. And that's exactly what we are trying to do in going forward, working with you together to realize this capabilities that the defense needs for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone on the panel and ladies and gentlemen.
से निवेदन है श्री रंजन लूथरा कि हमारे सभी जो एमिनेंट गेस्ट्स हैं उन्हें मेमेंटो प्रदान करें. आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू काइंडली प्रेजेंट मेमेंटोज टू एस्टीम्ड गेस्ट्स ऑन द डेस्क. हमारे आदर सम्मान का प्रतीक ये मेमेंटो हमारे सभी गेस्ट्स को दिया जा रहा है. और रंजन लूथरा को भी ये मेमेंटो दिया जा रहा है. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सभी का. हम इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे आगे. हमारा जो की नोट एड्रेस सेशन है उसके बाद पैनल डिस्कशन है. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. ऑल दी गेस्ट्स, सभी मेहमानों का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.